He broke every rule in reggae, then rewrote them all. From controversial dancehall anthems to spiritual awakenings, from record-breaking fame to a prison cell, Buju Banton's journey will shock you. The secret government documents about his case reveal what really happened. Miss the last 30 seconds, and you'll regret it forever. Mark Anthony Myrie, as he was first known to the world, emerged from the labyrinthine streets of Kingston, Jamaica, not with a whimper but with a thunderclap that would one day ripple far beyond the island shores. His voice, deep, gravelly, unmistakable, was not crafted in pristine studios, but shaped by the harshness of ghetto life, by the poverty that clung to the skin like a second soul, by the fire of survival that danced in his eyes long before the world would learn to bow to his name. At first, Buju Banton was a messenger of the streets, a chronicler of the pulsing chaos of dancehall. He did not arrive politely. He crashed into the scene, almost single-handedly recalibrating what it meant to hold a microphone in Jamaica's feverish dance halls. His earliest hits like Bogle and Batty Rider wielded words like blades, raw, controversial, and at times incendiary. They painted the world he knew in stark, unflinching strokes. Here was no sanitized reggae. This was life, loud and unfiltered, and it resonated. By the time Buju Banton was a teenager, he had shattered Bob Marley's record for the most #1 singles in Jamaica in a single year. Yet beneath the bravado and bombast, there flickered something more complex, a spirit not content to remain imprisoned in the dance hall's echo chamber. The metamorphosis of Buju Banton began not with a single moment, but with a gradual peeling away of layers, a spiritual awakening that would eventually lead him to Rastafari. The catalyst was pain, a near-death experience and the death of close friends awakening him a need to seek beyond the immediate. This seeking birthed Till Shiloh, a monumental album that would cement his legacy not just as a dancehall titan, but as a bridge between two worlds. Till Shiloh was not an album. It was a prophecy, a reckoning. The title itself, a nod to the biblical town of Shiloh, suggested a place of peace, a place of arrival after a long journey through the wilderness. In Till Shiloh, Buju Banton abandoned the easy thrills of the dance hall for the deeper waters of roots reggae, but he brought with him the potency and street-worn realism that had made him a voice of a generation. Tracks like Untold Stories and Murderer throb with the pain and wisdom of a man who had walked through fire and lived to tell the tale. There was no artifice here. Every note, every lyric dripped with authenticity, the sound of a man confronting his own demons under the unforgiving glare of a blood-red sun. But the story behind Till Shiloh was more than just one man's evolution. It was a story of a generation coming to grips with the end of innocence. The 1990s in Jamaica were a brutal time, with violence surging like an untamed river through the ghettos and the island's youth drowning in hopelessness. Dancehall had once offered a raucous escape, but the revelry was beginning to taste stale and bitter. Into this void, Buju Banton poured his new sound, somber, introspective, heavy with spiritual yearning, and the world listened. The impact of Till Shiloh cannot be overstated. It was a seismic shift, a clarion call that reverberated not only through Jamaica, but across the globe. For the first time, many of Buju Banton's dancehall disciples found themselves transported into the ancient rhythms and conscious lyrics of roots reggae, a genre their parents had revered but which they had dismissed as relics. The Rastafari Renaissance of the 1990s owes much to the shadow cast by Buju Banton's towering presence. While visionaries like Garnett Silk and Luciano were crafting their own odes to Jah, it was Buju Banton who led the charge, his gravelly baritone becoming the sound of an awakening. His transformation wasn't just sonic. It was physical, spiritual, complete. The once clean-shaven dancehall Don grew dreadlocks. His attire shifted from flashy streetwear to humble, earth-toned robes. The change was not for show. It was deep-rooted, irrevocable. In the wake of Till Shiloh, Buju Banton's music continued its upward spiral into the stratosphere of consciousness. Albums like Inner Heights and Unchained Spirit further cemented his place as a standard-bearer for a new generation of reggae artists unafraid to lace their melodies with the heavy truths of Babylon's oppression and the sweet liberation promised by Zion. Yet Buju Banton never entirely abandoned his dancehall roots. He understood, perhaps better than most, that the pulpit of the dancehall could be a powerful vehicle for redemption if steered with the right hand. To witness Buju Banton perform was to be caught in the gravitational pull of a star burning at full fury. His concerts were less shows and ceremonies, charged with the fever intensity of a revival meeting. He didn't just sing, he summoned. When he raised his hands, the crowd rose with him, a sea of fists and dreadlocks swaying in hypnotic unison. His voice, weathered yet indomitable, carried with it the thunderclap of history, the wail of the oppressed, the hymn of the free. Yet fame is a fickle beast, and Buju Banton would come to know its fangs intimately. In 2009, he was arrested in the United States on drug-related charges, a fall from grace that shocked his fans and enemies alike. The trial and subsequent incarceration would consume nearly a decade of his life, a stretch of silence that left a void in reggae's beating heart. But if history had taught us anything about Buju Banton, it was that he was not a man to be broken by chains. Upon his release in 2018, Buju Banton returned not as a relic of a bygone era, but as a prophet vindicated by suffering. His long walk to freedom concert was less a performance and more a resurrection. Tens of thousands filled the National Stadium in Kingston, not just to hear his music, but to bear witness to the man who had refused to be conquered. It was a coronation, a homecoming, a testament to the enduring power of truth when married to talent and faith. In the years since, Buju Banton has continued to defy the gravitational pull of mediocrity. His album Upside Down 2020 was a battle cry against the tumult of a world unmoored from sanity, a tapestry woven with threads of protest, love, and spiritual defiance. He collaborated with artists across genres, refusing to be boxed in by the narrow definitions of industry gatekeepers. Through it all, his voice remained a beacon, weathered, wiser, but no less powerful. What separates Buju Banton from his contemporaries is not just his musical genius, but his capacity for reinvention without betrayal of his essence. He has walked through fire, through valleys of death and despair, and each trial has only burnished his spirit, made his music more vital, more necessary. He embodies the ancient African proverb, "The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth." Buju Banton was once that child, but rather than burn his village, he chose to light it with the fire of truth. To speak of Buju Banton is to speak of a man who refused to let circumstance dictate destiny. It is to speak of a ghetto youth who rose not only to conquer the dance hall, but to redefine the possibilities of reggae itself. It is to speak of a prophet who fell and rose again, whose voice carries the weight of 1,000 untold stories, and whose music will echo in the chambers of history long after the last note fades. In the final measure, Buju Banton's greatest contribution may not be the awards or the records sold, but the reinvigoration of reggae's soul. He reminded a world drunk on triviality that music, at its best, is a weapon, a bomb, a torch in the darkness. And as long as there are ears to hear and hearts to beat, the legend of Mark Anthony Myrie, Buju Banton, will not merely endure, it will ascend eternal as the spirit of Till Shiloh. Do you believe Buju Banton's transformation was real or calculated? Which version of Buju do you connect with more, the firebrand of dancehall or the prophet of roots reggae? How has his journey shaped your view of redemption and legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe in stories that challenge, uplift, and inspire, subscribe now and don't miss what's coming next.